Stop the hammering out there. Who's got a hammer? Where is it?
Yeah, baby. Welcome to the world famous Stuttering John podcast. Thanks to the USA Singers for doing the intro song. Good as Gold is here. My mom is here. Please welcome Congressman Ted Lieu to the program once again.
Hi, John.
How are you, buddy?
I'm terrific, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. You know what? I'm reading your bio. I don't know if I should call you Congressman, Colonel, Oak Leaf Cluster winner. I mean, you've accomplished so much. It's amazing.
Just call me Ted. That's easier.
I mean, I'm like, I'm reading your whole thing. It's like, what hasn't this guy done? It's pretty incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Where should we start? I mean, or should I call you impeachment manager because you were in the impeachment manager of the second impeachment, correct?
That's correct. I think it's ironic we have to mention which impeachment we're talking about for the same president.
I got to ask you, Ted. Now, here's the question that a lot of my people ask, so I'm going to ask you, is you have, I hope they're going to go really deep into this because you have Lauren Boebert, who was giving tours to what appears to be insurrectionists days before the insurrection. That's got to be a crime, no?
So the committee is going to leave no stone unturned. And the good thing is they have subpoena power, which means that if you ignore the request for documents or if you ignore the request for witness testimony, that can be enforced by the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia. And that is a powerful tool. So I do expect the committee to get to the bottom of what led up to January 6th, what occurred on January 6th, and the consequences of January 6th.
And how do you respond to Susan Collins saying that, I'm sorry, Ted, this is like right-wing lunacy because I had Eric Swalwell on last week and it's just becoming, it's right-wing lunacy. I don't even see it like the old Republican Party anymore. But you have Susan Collins sitting there and saying Speaker Pelosi should have allowed Jim Jordan and the other one. Meanwhile, they were two of the people that were calling the election a fraud and discrediting Joe Biden as the president. I mean, how do you respond to that? Like Susan Collins saying that?
So, John, you're absolutely right. In addition, we know from, I was a House impeachment manager, as you said, we know from the evidence we're reviewing that Jim Jordan talked to the former president on January 6th, potentially during the critical hours of what the heck was the president doing when he saw the insurrection occurring on TV and saw the assault on the Capitol. Why didn't he call in the National Guard? It's very possible he was talking to Jim Jordan around that time. So Jim Jordan is a material witness, and you can't really have a material witness who's going to be on the select committee. So I think it was perfectly appropriate for Speaker Pelosi not to seat Jim Jordan on this committee.
Like they all have like a meeting. This is what we're going to say.
Actually, they do that. They have weekly caucus meetings, and they also have emails that go out telling them about talking points. That's absolutely correct. That's why it's sort of robotic when you watch them. They spew exactly the same talking points every day, depending on whatever day it is that they're told to talk about a certain issue.
And do the Democrats do that as well?
We are much, what's a good way to put it? We're interested in governing. And so when you're governing, you actually have to deal with nuances and you have to deal with how certain policies and laws affect the American people. So we don't just sort of have a one way of describing things in exactly black and white. And so that is an issue. It would be better if we could, in fact, do that. If we could simply have very simple phrases. And that's what we're trying to work on and try to do better. Unfortunately, what Republicans also do is their phrases are just not correct. They just lie to the American people, but they repeat them over and over again, these lies.
I would love to get what you think he's going to do. You think he's going to try and run again?
I don't actually think he's going to try and run again. He lost when he ran as an incumbent president. Historically, it is not easy to remove an incumbent president. Most incumbent presidents win re-election. So if he couldn't win as an incumbent president, he has an even lower chance when he's running not as the president. I think you're more likely to be correct. He's going to take a bunch of this money and use it on himself and his family, which in fact he's already doing. If you read some of the media reports, he is spending it, on travel and all sorts of things that are really unrelated to how he got most of this money, which is he was telling these folks about the big lie that somehow the election was stolen, they should give money. But he isn't spending any of this on any of those fake audits or anything like that.
Trump called the attorney general 2 days after Christmas and told him, just say the election was fraud, and then me and the Republicans will take it from there. That has got to be illegal, no? I mean, how do you feel when you hear that?
So it's absolutely corrupt. It is unpatriotic. It is anti-American. So we looked into the laws, and one of the things that happened the last 4 years is the former president did all sorts of things that may not actually be against the law because no one thought of writing a law to prevent such crazy things from happening. And so he really pushed an envelope.
Well, I love because I was reading, on your Wikipedia, and it said before Donald Trump's Twitter account was permanently suspended, Ted Lieu was known for rebutting Trump's tweets on his personal account. This is you. Ted says, I just decided that if Donald Trump was going to say 27 crazy, misleading things a week, I am going to point out that he said 27 crazy, misleading things and to not allow him to get away with it. I love that, because you really are, as Sally was saying in the chats, you are very, very on it when it comes to Twitter. I mean, you'll point people out just like that.
The fact that the former president wrote such crazy things that a private sector company felt compelled to remove him from the account has lowered my blood pressure and made me have a much happier life. So I am pleased that has happened. All these videos that we've all seen of an attack on the Capitol, of Trump supporters assaulting police officers. And because a number of Republican elected officials can't handle that, they don't know how to interpret that an element of their base is attacking police officers. They simply want to ignore it and pretend it never happened. And we're not going to let that occur. We're going to make sure the historical record is accurate. That's why we have this January 6th Select Committee. And we want to make sure that future generations understand exactly what happened and how to prevent it from happening in the future.
Do you think, Ted, guys like Ron DeSantis and Ted Cruz, they seem to be trying to be Trump, be as crazy and hateful and bigoted as Trump? Right now, Florida has the #1 COVID death rate right now. Ron DeSantis is not doing anything about it and continues to be against any mask mandates. Meanwhile, the ICUs are filling up with people. Ted, this is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. Here we have a miracle cure, a vaccination. Yet Fox News was saying to take horse pills, and then they would rather take that than actually get vaccinated. Why did this become so politicized?
That is a great point. And in fact, based on some of the media reports, it appears that now they're putting warnings telling people basically not to take these horse pills because it could actually make you very sick or potentially be fatal to you. But it makes you wonder, why are people so willing to try experimental therapies and experimental drugs, but won't take a vaccine that has been given to so many people that's protected folks from COVID? It really boggles the mind. I also don't understand Republican elected officials who are telling people not to take the vaccine or cast doubt on the vaccine. I mean, what is the goal of basically increasing the risk that your own supporters are going to get seriously ill or potentially die? I don't really understand the end game of what they're trying to do. It is very puzzling and distressing to me.
No, it is. And I just because even people, I talk to a lot of the people in this area. I'm in the Woodland Hills area, and and Canoga Park, and adjacent to Calabasas. And like I said, that's where my kid goes to school. But I'm in a lot of these places, and it's amazing. Like, I was sitting next to a guy at the pub the other day. I think it was yesterday, and he was like, "I go, are you going to get vaccinated?" Heck no. It's not going to be CDC approved till 2023. And I'm like, no, actually, it'll get approval by the end of this year. It's like they believe this fake narrative, and they won't get vaccinated. I don't understand it.
Based on science and medicine and for the health of their patients. So if we can just get these folks to talk to their own doctor, that is one of the best ways to get them to go get vaccinated.
Yeah, and it's so sad to me, because I'm sure you've seen some of these videos, Ted, or some of the posts of people in the ICU who are dying of COVID, and they then ask them if they can get the vaccine, and the doctors are saying, "I'm sorry, it's too late." And you have these people's last words saying, "Everybody, I should have got the vaccine, go get it." So now, as a whole, thanks to Joe Biden and all of you guys, we're up to 70%, at least for the first shot, which is incredible. Before I get to my last question, which is about climate change, because I know you have children, I have children, and it's very important. I do want to just get a follow-up. So with Megyn Kelly, have you had any interaction? I mean, what do you make of her downplaying it? Is it just gaslighting, just trying to get, sensationalism?
Yeah. So let me just be very clear. When you downplay January 6th, you're disrespecting the 140 police officers that got assaulted and injured on that day. Capitol Police recently reported that 10 of them are still so injured they can't come back to work. So when you downplay January 6th, you are disrespecting police officers. I do not know why Megyn Kelly is doing that.
Why is the Republican Party against proper climate change legislation when it's not a partisan issue? It's a global crisis.
I agree with you. I don't understand the anti-science element in the base of the Republican Party. So they don't accept facts when it comes to climate change. They don't accept facts when it comes to COVID. They don't accept facts when it comes to vaccines. It is very distressing. I don't understand where this rejection of experts and of doctors and of scientists is coming from, but clearly it is there in the Republican base, and they become very radicalized.
Yeah, and the same goes for gun legislation. How many of our children have to be killed, and for the Republicans to finally do something about it? Is it because they're all in bed with the NRA?
That's a very interesting question. Having dealt on gun issues since I was a California state legislature to now, I pretty much submitted, basically voted for every gun reform measure that's crossed my desk. Interacting with the Republicans, my view is many of them do in fact sincerely hold the view that if we had more guns, we'd all be safer. I reject that view. I think it's not borne out by the facts, but they do hold that view. And so because they hold that view, it's very hard to compromise with. There's a difference between, for example, voting to not certified electoral college versus going to a speech prior to an insurrection and riling up the crowd while wearing a bulletproof vest.
Yes, no, I agree. Because, I'm and Ted, I'm coming out to DC in September. I'm going to do interviews with, I'm going to try and get as many as the GOP people that I could ask, questions to the old Stuttering John style, if you will. So if I'm out there and you're out there, I'll take you out for some drinks.
That'll be fantastic. I hope you ask them who stole the election. I'd be curious to see how they respond to that.
Ted, thank you so much for coming on. But they haven't arrested Trump. A lot of big news today with Governor Cuomo. All things seem to think that he's guilty. So, but the only question I have, and I have to ask this to Letitia James. All right, so Cuomo, and I hope people is this is not the one. They're going after Cuomo because when they do it, Trump is family. People can't start yelling partisan. They can't start crying. Oh, look, they're only fighting out the Republicans. Look, I'm I have to say that I truly believe that this is supposed to be. Yes, should Cuomo go down? Yes. Should he retire and resign? Yes. But I thoroughly believe that Letitia James knows she's got Donald Trump. This is from the Lincoln Project. Before we bring on John Fugelsang.
So we've always seen some level of
All righty. Come on now. Come on now. Where are you? Come on. Computer lockdown. Give it a second. Computer lockdown. All righty. Ay, 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 ay. Yeah, 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 yeah. There we go. Someone writes, "Oh, John, that's negative. I mean, that's unacceptable. You know, you have a trans son," even though he said a trans daughter, which, you know, it doesn't matter. It has nothing to do with it. Lindsey Graham votes against LGBTQ rights on a regular basis. He is the hypocrite of all hypocrites. He's Marcus Bachmann praying the gay away. Meanwhile, Marcus Bachmann, let's face it, is gay as a daffodil, at least in my opinion. So you know, Lindsey Graham, I'm sorry. He's been accused by his young male escorts as being known as Lady G. Okay? He's known as Lady G. So, we all know he's gay. He's not married. You've never seen him with a woman. And there's nothing wrong with being gay. Ay, ay, ay.
So you're saying black women should have their abortion rights stripped away? Is that what you're saying? Or do you have a plan to pay for all these black babies that you're so concerned about? You have a plan to help with, you know, neonatal care, preschool, housing, food, nutrition, healthcare? You got a plan for no? They just want to shit on black women. And you know, and it's like, I don't mind it.
It's just freaking sick. There was something else that I had to ask you, John, about the Army Major Richard Ojeda.
Brother, get vaccinated, people. I mean, and the bad part about it, what John recently said too, is, you know, in other countries they lack the vaccine. You know, in Europe they have the Russian vaccine that's not even nowhere near as effective as Moderna, Pfizer, or Johnson & Johnson. You know, here in America, we've got the vaccine and we can't get these chuckleheads to actually go get the shots. And in places like Europe, they would absolutely kill to have those vaccines, because those people are smart enough to know that that's how we get beyond this. And it's just brutal. It sucks.
No, it really does suck. I had a guy at the pub sitting next to me yesterday, and I just said, "Have you been vaccinated?" And he goes, "You know, these people who don't want to get vaccinated are freaking idiots."
Yeah, they're idiots. Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and Pfizer are already supported by the CDC. You know, I mean, these people just absolutely lack the intelligence to do what is right. They're selfish. I mean, the selfishness that we see today in this country is really embarrassing. For people who have friends in other countries like you, John, this is embarrassing, because the friends in other countries are like looking at us like, what's wrong with you people? What is wrong with you? Millions of people have died across the globe. 630,000 Americans have died. And you still have people that just refuse to do the right thing. We are on fire. You know, I've got family and I've got friends that work in the medical industry. I've got family and friends in places like Florida. Florida is on fire. Literally over 1,000 children are right now in the emergency room in the hospitals in places like Florida. Florida now, you know, day before yesterday, Florida counted for 1 out of 5. 1 out of every 5 COVID cases was in Florida. Now today it's 1 out of every 3. They're on fire, and they got a governor that says, we don't want masks. We're going to defund school programs that try to initiate masks. These are not leaders. These are people that are doing everything in their power to make sure that Donald Trump, continues to like all the antics that they're doing. That's not what a leader does. Leaders should be doing everything in their power to make these people. Being a leader means that sometimes you have to make the shitty decisions. Sometimes you have to make the calls that are not going to be popular, but they're going to help people. They're going to save people. And that's what we have right now. And we have so many of these fake ass leaders like Governor Abbott, Governor DeSantis, that absolutely are doing everything in their power to continue killing their people. But hey, I guarantee you 8 out of 10 are Republicans. So you go ahead and you kill your own damn base. And then when election time comes and you lose and you wonder, how could we have lost? Well, because you killed your damn base.
Yeah, and that's what's going on. And you know what? I'm not happy to see anybody die, but if it's gonna be, if they're gonna die because they believe in some idiot named Ron DeSantis who can give a crap about their lives, then they deserve it. Yeah, I will. Just in case, thanks for the $5. Why are we relying on government to tell us to wear a mask? People need to do what they feel is right, Republican or Democrat.
Let me answer that, please.
Yes.
First off, people need to do what they feel is right. But the problem is that if you feel that you shouldn't wear a mask when you're talking about a global pandemic, that now the experts are saying the Delta variant is literally COVID on steroids. The Delta variant right now is so contagious that the Surgeon General has basically said that if you are not vaccinated, you are going to get this Delta 6 variant. If you are with the Delta 6 variant and you're walking down the street, picture yourself with an aura around you. And everything that aura touches will absolutely pass on the Delta 6 variant. They traced it to a person in Australia that was just sitting in an outdoor little place drinking a coffee, and a guy who walked past her and went into the store, she got COVID. It's deadly and it's going to kill people. And if it doesn't kill you, it's going to affect you. It's going to attack your heart. It's going to attack your lungs. It's going to take off points to your IQ. So no matter what, if you get it, you're going to feel the effects for the rest of your life. That's why it's important that we can't let people just do what they want to do, which is what they're doing right now, but we need to stop it. I think there comes a time when the government needs to say, look, this is about protecting the lives of other people. If you are not vaccinated, get your ass in your house and you stay in your house until this shit is over with.
You know what? I agree with you. I don't think it should be a choice.
No.
I think when you have a pandemic and you have a vaccine for it, it should be mandatory. Mandatory.
Absolutely. In the military, nobody ever told us, hey guys, you want to take this? No, we don't practice it. Get your ass in line and get your shots.
Exactly. And Franken Smith Berry, thanks for the $5. He says there are 17 COVID variants. Delta is the worst and just one of 17 variants. Get vaccinated, wear a mask. I can't believe that right now I have to say it. It just boggles the mind that we actually have to tell people. I mean, it's just it's simple logic.
Yeah, and look, things are shutting back down. Everything's going to shut back down. I believe it's Arkansas. They sent kids back to school, and within a week, I think they've went ahead and pulled everybody out. They've already got like 180 some new cases of children in one school alone. I mean, it's going to happen. You may be 25 years old and basically have COPD. You're going to have a hard time. If you're an athlete, you're not going to be able to breathe properly anymore. You're not going to be able to run the way you used to run and things like that. It's going to affect you. So don't let it affect you. And if you're a parent, protect your kids. I wouldn't let my kids go to school. I don't give two shits. I wouldn't let my kids go to school because you cannot protect these kids. You cannot make that kid that's got the Iron Man mask not trade it to the kid that's got the Spider-Man mask. That stuff's going to happen. You can't. It's brutal. And then, of course, you're putting this on the shoulders of the teachers. We need to do what's right. We need to absolutely tell everybody, if you're not vaccinated, you're not going to be able to travel, and you shouldn't be able to travel. You shouldn't be able to go into clubs and restaurants if you don't have your vaccination card. And I don't give two shits what anybody else has to say about that. You know, it's about doing the right thing and doing everything in your power to protect somebody that may not be able to get the shot. You know, and I'm not going to lose my family. I'm not going to give up my family over some selfish asshole.
Yep, I know. I agree. And by the way, Major, when you do come, you know, I got a new car now. So I sold the Mustang. So you know, I could drive you to Bill Maher's show in class.
Hell yeah, let's do it. So what is it? Ford Festiva? What we got here? How could anyone look at Nancy Pelosi and accuse her of being the one who derailed the system?
Yeah, well, Jeff Seitz, I've asked to come on the show, and he blew me off. So it's just like, all right, you know, it's like, you know, I'm not saying that I'm the biggest show in the world, but you know, if you're gonna blow off, you know, these grassroots shows now, you know, I don't think you're gonna have a chance. Martha Salinas, John asked the Major if he found out Lindsey Graham got covered on Joe Manchin's houseboat. I don't know what that means.
Well, Lindsey Graham was with like 6 other people, literally like 2 days ago, on Joe Manchin's boat.
COVID,
So
I guess.
you know, Joe Manchin's hanging out with Lindsey Graham now. You sack of shit. And of course, Lindsey Graham has tested positive for COVID. So I'm sure that you know, everybody needs.
I don't know how he can get COVID if he spends his entire life in the closet.
Exactly. You know, I mean, I'll tell you what. There's a bunch of male escorts right now that are sweating bullets and better go get tested. You know.
Benny Loco, thanks for the $5. You gonna be my realtor, or what, John? Yes, I will be if you want me to be. I do have my realtor license. I really do appreciate it. And for all the people in the chats, Benny Loco, new member.
Stop the hammering. Stop the hammering out